I don't know that religion was important for this particular shooter, right? But in the big picture, it's been crucial, I think. And there's something more intractable about these ideologies when they seem to have divine sanction, divine approval. This is God's will, right? I mentioned Josiah Strong, this very influential Protestant minister, who, again, by the way, in terms of not just identifying the usual suspects, Josiah Strong, in some ways, was associated with the social gospel, which is seen as a more liberal thing. But Josiah Strong was very explicit about the idea that it was God's will for Anglo-Saxons to take over the world and basically eradicate races that he imagined to be inferior. And he was this respectable American minister. And so the racial and the religious are linked. And we've seen this throughout American history, a variety of strands of racism. Even in the civil rights era, we see some white pastors giving sermons where they're truly saying, being white is not just a race, it's a divine calling. The children of Israel were chosen a long time ago, and now God has chosen the white race for a special role in the world. And when you believe that, right, that gives you all of the permission you need to act ruthlessly. But I think in a much more sort of tame and mainstream way, there is this sense that just as America is and has been and should be a white nation, that it's a Christian nation, right? And I think that the challenge there is when that becomes, again, a politics that is trying to control and dominate. Because then what happens when you fear that control being lost? There is always that potential for the resort to violence. And so for me, part of, just putting my cards on the table, being very opinionated, I think part of the whole challenge and danger is that white identity politics, white Christian identity politics is inherently dangerous, is inherently prone to violence, which is not to say that Christian religious influence in politics is inherently bad or dangerous. I mean, think about the Black political tradition. Deeply informed by Christian faith, right? And yet in the Black political tradition, we see these struggles for freedom that have no expectation of dominating others. A struggle for an equal place in the country, but not a struggle to lord it over other groups, right? And so that's a very different political tradition.